Welcome, everyone. I'm here with the lovely Isabella Loneragan. Isabella, I want to congratulate you because you won the prestigious award of Educator of the Year this year, 2025, at the Australian Beauty Industry Awards. I really wanted to celebrate that with you today, and also all of your beautiful achievements, what you're doing, what you're presenting to the world, to the beauty industry, because I've been sort of had my eye on you a little bit. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'd love you to share with everyone what exactly you're doing. I would love you to go into depth of what it is you do. What do you love specifically about what you do?
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. It's true. I do quite a few things, which even for me sometimes feels a bit surreal, because it's probably not really what I set out to do. I set out originally 20 years ago as a beauty therapist. That's how I started. I came into the industry as a beauty therapist, as a mature age woman. And I studied in South Africa beauty therapy. And in the last 20 years, that's evolved into many different forms of effectively connecting with women. That's pretty much at the core of what I do. I'm a beauty therapist by trade, but then I studied dermal sciences and then went into dermatology for a while, not as a dermatologist, but working in the dermatology industry. And at the core of what I do, I call myself a skin therapist or a skin manager. So I have 2 clinics where I provide skin management services, i.e., I analyze skin and prescribe treatment plans and products, and I give facials. So that's at the core of what I do. And then off that business, I formulated a range of products because there was nothing on the market that I wanted to, or that was good enough, in my opinion, to solve my clients' or my patients' problems, their skin problems. So I created a skin line. And then whilst I was growing my skin therapy business, I traveled overseas and studied in many different advanced facial massage techniques. And I brought one back to Australia called Bukal, which is intraoral facial massage. And I launched it in Australia and it went absolutely crazy. People loved it because it bridged the connection between internal wellness and external beauty. It allowed me to go deeper into the clients, connect deeper with them on a holistic level, which a lot of clients didn't know they needed and wanted. And people absolutely loved it. So my business grew exponentially, which required me to take on a lot of staff. Therefore, I had to train them in the Bukal style. And then I got a lot of phone calls from external therapists asking if I could train them. So I created a course to train them. And now I've created an academy. So I kind of have 4 major business units. I've got the products, Reagan Skin, and then I've got the Skin Forme Academy, which is pronounced Skin Forme, but it's spelt Skin Form with an E on the end and an accent over the E. Then I've got Isabella Loneragan Skin Clinics. And then I have my personal brand, which is I do a lot of TV work and I speak at a lot of events about women's empowerment, the beauty industry, the power of touch, and the power of the art of facial massage. So yes, it is quite a lot when I say it all like that.
Now that you said all that, I'm thinking, does this woman ever sleep? We are living in a world where we are deeply missing something that is so important, which is the touch, the human touch. I find, obviously as a mentor, I find that so often women who are visionary leaders like yourself can often, without even realizing, distance themselves, and not just visionary leaders, any woman really can distance herself from real intimacy, real touch, and find herself somehow trying to fulfill herself through the social vortexes or these other things that are available to us right now, whereas those things can never ever do that. So in a way, we distance ourselves more and more away from what we're actually really deeply needing as human beings and wanting, desiring.
Yeah.
So I love this. We chatted about this the other day a little bit about touch and why I wanted to bring this really into this podcast. Obviously, you're doing something quite beautiful in the beauty industry with that. I always loved my traditional facials. And
Yeah.
I really brought in a lot of techniques from other places around the world. One in particular was France, that had this unbelievable way of dealing with the face and the body when we were, delivering facials to our clients. I found that women loved that so much. Before they would walk out the door, on the phone to their girlfriends, telling them you've got to come in. Because I really do believe that that level of touch and intimacy, and also the result, but it's so deeply moving to another human being. And that's really what beauty therapists do. Skin therapists, dermal therapists, estheticians, beauty therapists. That's what we do. We're having an impact and influencing another human being in that small period of time that we have them. How are we going to do that? So I do want to go back to the beginning, though. I know you did mention first that you were you didn't really think your career was going to look like this, did you, when you first started?
Yeah, I don't know what I thought, to be brutally honest. As I said, I studied in South Africa and I'd come out of working in finance in London and I was miserable. I hated it. It was soul destroying. And I moved to South Africa. I was engaged to a South African at the time, hence the move there. And I wasn't sure. I liked the idea of being an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what that would entail, to be honest. My sister was a massage therapist back in the day, and she'd had a massage therapy business, and I was inspired by her. I was inspired by the woman running a business situation because I came from a world where women, that wasn't very common. It was you went into a job and you worked your job and then you got married and you had children. So I was inspired by the potential that I could run a business alongside doing something that looked like it would be enjoyable. And I had a beauty therapist in my early 20s in Sydney who every time I went to her, she was so happy. And I just couldn't believe it. Like every time I went to her, no matter what I went for, she just would rave about this job and how it made her so happy and she loved it so much. And I'd never met a young girl that had so much power in her happiness. So it was a bit of a question mark for me when I first started studying in South Africa, but you could study modular study there. And so I just did the facial course first because that's really all I was interested in. And then I absolutely loved it. I loved giving treatments. I couldn't believe I had someone on a treatment bed that was lying there and I could have this impact on them. And that was even in the first weeks of doing the course. So to be honest, I didn't have a vision far beyond doing facials from my spare room, that's what I did. I qualified in the facial component, and I was nannying for a woman down the road that owned a big spa, and she had a big product house in her spa, and she offered to sell me some back bar products, some professional products that I could do my facials with. And she did that. And I started this little facial business with no retail, just doing facials with products in my hands and doing letterbox drops. So this is 20 years ago. This is way before Instagram and websites and all of that sort of stuff. And I loved it. And I was just doing treatments in my spare room and people were telling their friends. And I couldn't believe that people would leave, pay me to do this and then leave. And then their friend would call saying, my friend has had a treatment with you. Can I book? So to be honest, beyond kind of imagining that I could run a business, and I think I had a bit of a small time, well, not small time, but I thought, if I'm going to have children with this man that I was with, I'd want to have something that I could work around, I mean, hilarious now that I have children and there's not a huge amount of work around when you're a woman with children and a business. But I remember back in the day thinking it'd be useful to have a business that I could potentially do from home. And that was it. That's as far as my thinking went. And fast forward 20 years, I would have no idea that this is where I would be with this incredible qualification. I mean, I implore young girls to consider going into these types of careers because with AI, the growth of AI, this is the industry that I believe we should be working in because AI can't replace this kind of connection and result that we can give our clients. So no, I didn't know where it would take me, and I had no idea this is where I would be with it today. And I'm honestly, there hasn't been a day that I haven't loved. I have not had one single day that I have thought, I wish I didn't do this. It's been the most amazing decision for me to go into this industry, and every day is better than the last. Just wonderful.
It's beautiful. And I think that what I'm hearing is that your connection, connecting you with others, you
Yeah.
touching them, supporting them, contributing to them is really so important to you. And the whole finance game just really didn't do it. You know, it's interesting how we actually we fall into certain things that have just take over our whole
Yeah.
life. And so we don't
It
have
is.
to know. And I want anyone that's listening to this that's sort of trying to still figure out what they're doing, because this can
You don't
happen.
have to know.
You don't
Yeah.
have to know. Yeah,
No,
it's
I didn't know.
your parents want you to know because that keeps them
Yes.
safe, and that
Comfortable. Yes.
they're thinking, oh God, this is great, if she knows. But I think that we don't have to know, and I certainly didn't know. But I think that a beautiful thing is to just reflect, be reflective, just listen to the cues, watch for the cues because they do come. It's created a whole life for you, really, and a whole
Oh, completely. It's literally created a whole life for me. It's been amazing.
beautiful. Now, there was something that I wanted to ask you about the whole dermatology side, but you know what? I'm not going to do that. I want to go straight into what you're doing now with Bukal. Tell us, because this connects directly to the academy, and
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
And I think that anything that we can give to the beauty industry where they're going back to touching their clients, not only is it good for the client, but it's also good for the therapist, because the therapist is very much like, as far as I know, and from the women that I've employed and hired and the ones that I've worked with and that I mentor, there is something about that touch. Anyone that goes into the beauty industry has to love that to some extent inside of them, even if they forget that they love it. That to me is, I actually think that's what our clients a lot of the time come for. You know how we say that we're like therapists, but we don't have to be like the therapist, the psychology therapist. We don't have to be doing that with them, but you actually can support someone just through touching them.
Absolutely.
Laying your hands on them, you're going into their field. It's an intimacy. So tell us about your massage and the academy, because I really want to speak about that today.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned earlier, I brought Bukal into Australia, and it was just incredible. It took off, and it was amazing how strongly it took off, and even in the media, because it's seemingly I was the first person to kind of make that jump from external facial work into literal internal and merging the two worlds. And the media jumped on it. I was on the front cover of magazines and in the paper and in Vogue, and it was insane because suddenly there was this person that was suggesting that, you know, beauty, external beauty and internal health can actually coexist. They can work together, and it's
So
okay to break. It's okay to jump over. So because it took off so incredibly strongly, and then my business grew exponentially, I had to bring all of these girls on to support me because I had a 6-month wait list and I couldn't cope with the demand. So I trained them in clinic, and then a few years after I'd been doing that, a clinic in New Zealand contacted me and said, we want to fly you over to New Zealand to train all of our therapists in our clinic in your style. And I had a manual, but and with the goal that I would eventually train it externally, but I didn't have any time. Typical entrepreneur, I've got all these plans, but one day I'll do them. Yeah.
was that? You've got plans?
Yeah, yeah, amazing. And I thought, what a wonderful opportunity. I've got to jump on this now. So I literally launched this 4-day course on the phone to these people. I was like, yeah, no problem. I can come. I've got a 4-day course. Now, I hadn't trained the modality in 4 days. I'd trained it over 2 months. But I was like, well, now's the time. I'm going to have to consolidate the whole thing. So off I went to New Zealand, and I launched the Intrinsic Intensive, which is my flagship course in New Zealand, and it was amazing. People loved it. And then I brought it back to Australia, and I've been training it ever since. Now, the demand has been insane, but the demand for more touch-led training, so more advanced facial massage training, has been huge, especially online. I get a lot of people internationally contacting me saying, can you train me online? And I didn't offer any online training. So we trialed a mini course we launched it last Boxing Day. So what's that? 10 months ago, 9 months ago. And it went gangbusters. I just created a 7-minute facial massage routine with a focus on the eyes. And I think we've sold 1,000 of them because people want touch-led advice. They want to know how to massage their clients' faces with expertise. Now, in Australia, the beauty therapy diploma only teaches one facial massage routine, and it's focused on feeling good, and that's about it. There's no other focus of the massage. It's just give the client a massage. It's sandwiched between the exfoliation and the mask at the end, and there's no real technique or science behind it. It's just, here's your massage routine, learn it, and we mark you off and you're a qualified beauty therapist. And most beauty therapists that are trained in Australia go for 20 years doing the same facial massage routine, or they bring in a product house to their business and the product house gives them another massage. And then that's about it. So
I'm just gonna interrupt you here because I think that's interesting. And I think that one of the things that beauty therapists have to understand, estheticians, is that their course is the same with brows. Go to do your beauty therapy diploma and you are taught textbook guidelines, which by the way are wrong. Yep, completely. Right. So you go out and you think, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's almost like what we're saying, and I say this all the time, and this is why I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really want to step forward with this. We cannot believe our beauty diplomas are the end.
No,
they're
the start.
Inside of a beauty diploma, you think that because they teach us everything, you're learning everything.
Oh my goodness.
The expectation is that you're learning just the core, especially when it comes to brows. But I think that the key thing we have to understand is the core is what we learn, and then we must step out. And we must think, well, what is it that moves me? What touches me? What is the service that just lights me up? And then go and research and dive into that. Specialize to stand out. Otherwise, you're just going to be in that sea of sameness. And I think that this is another core piece. That's what we learn. We learn how to massage for feel good. But we don't have to stop there. It's the same with brows. It's the same with anything. You can't learn everything inside of your beauty diploma. It's impossible. And it really is a beginning. I think that if we understand that, we're miles ahead in our careers. So continue on, Isabella, because I love that you shared that. It's very important.
So then generally we're only taught the one routine and away we go. And for me, I was getting a lot of demand and call for further support because the intrinsic intensive, my 4-day facial massage course, took off so aggressively. We knew that it needed its whole academy to support it. So I launched the Skin Forme Academy, and I called it the Skin Forme Academy because I put the words skin and form together. And they're heavy hitting words for me in my emotional growth and my emotional offering to the audience. I started as a skin therapist. That was my thing. But then I realized that I had to have incredible form, both physically in my delivery of my treatments and emotionally in connecting with my clients. So putting skin and form together and teaching excellent form, because there's a real art to teaching facial massage to not only give the client the best result, but to protect yourself as a therapist and your body. I was noticing in my courses that a lot of women were really struggling with basic things. And I was shocked at they couldn't seemingly do a cleanse, or they didn't understand basic concepts. And that was really disappointing to me, considering they were diploma qualified and they'd been working for 10 years. And so then I basically just filmed myself doing my own facial, and we cannot believe the uptake. We can't believe how invested people are and how much they realize they're coming to realize that their beauty diploma really underserviced them. And there's so much to learn. And yes, I mean, like brows are a whole other
Let's
worlds that,
let's not
I
even.
remember
Yeah,
I remember I was taught brows, and I don't do brows because of that, because for
yeah.
me, it's a whole nother thing. So yeah, that's how the Skin Forme Academy was born. And it's a beautiful merge of my worlds, because I do business to client work. So I'm sitting in my clinic now. I've got clients at 8:30, and I do my one-on-one facials. And then I teach as well, because I want I want the people of Australia and the world to receive excellent touch, excellent facials, and excellent touch, and be able to get excellent results out of them. But I also want to give them to my clients as well. So I've stayed on doing my clinic, and really my clinic is where my heart, well, part of my heart is, because I love that one-on-one experience with my clients. I love the connection and the growth with them, and the layers upon layers that you learn about your clients. And then I love teaching, because watching the students do that, like, aha, oh my goodness, I can't believe I've been doing this for 10 years and I had no idea I could be doing this as well. And
I
that's
love that. And I have to say, over the last 14 years, actually, educating globally, it's astonishing. The thing is about the beauty diploma. I want us to just pick this apart a little bit, because we brought it up a couple of times. Number one, you really are dependent on the teacher. Now, I
yes.
know when I did my course nearly 40 years ago, that's true. It is a true statement. Nearly 40 years ago, I had one teacher that I loved. She was amazing. I was just like, I was so inspired by her. Going back to the diploma, again, understimulated. What an amazing word you used. When we're not fulfilled, we know something's missing, whether it's whatever it is inside of the beauty industry. But with skin, I mean, skin has exploded right now in the beauty industry. And it's
Oh,
almost like
insane.
we're going forward, but first we have to go back so that we can go
Yes,
forward in a way that is deeply impactful for our clients.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
tell me specifically about Bukal. Where did you learn it? What is it? And why would I want to learn it now that I'm 61? Let's just say, for example.
Oh, I get a lot of 55 to 65-year-old women come to my courses, because they've been in the industry for 40 years and they still want more. So we can come back to that. Bukal is an intraoral technique. So you put gloves on and you massage the face with your fingers inside your client's mouth. I was taught in Paris by a Russian facial master, funnily enough, back in 2018, I think it was. And at the time, it was pitched to me as a sculpting and lifting technique. Now, I'd come out of dermatology. I'd worked in dermatology for 5 years, and originally I thought that I wanted to be a dermatologist. But I got to the end of my 5-year career as a dermal therapist in this dermatology clinic, and I realized dermatology wasn't for me, because of the lack of ability to nurture and listen to your client, or patient, as we called them. I saw a lot of frustrated patients in dermatology that were continuously prescribed medication, when really they needed skin treatments, skin products, and nurturing and listening to. So I saw this enormous hole in the Australian market for someone to go in and manage skin without prescription. So I went and did that, and it went really well. But when I was doing that, I was like, oh, there feels like there could be so much more. Also, I was getting a lot of people coming to me saying, I want more result, but I don't want Botox or filler, and I don't want Fraxel, and I don't want lasers. I don't want machines on my skin. I
Mm.
want more, but I don't know how to get it. And I was like, wow, that's fantastic. So then came across this style on Instagram. It was all in Russian. I couldn't understand a word the man was saying, but had his hands in these women's mouths. And he was pitching it as a sculpting and lifting technique. And I thought, wow, amazing. I can do sculpting and lifting without Botox and filler. This is incredible. So off I went. I applied to this course and was accepted. And off I went to Paris and learnt it. And yes, again, pitched as sculpting and lifting. Brought it back to Australia and created a treatment out of it. I designed a facial, and that's one of my strengths, is that I like designing facials, not just here's your beauty therapy diploma facial, go and do it. I liked pairing products and different styles of massage and da-da-da. So I designed what I called the intrinsic facial for obvious reasons, calling it the intrinsic facial. And I launched it, and I did it for 3 to 6 months. And that's when the media went crazy and I got lots of attention and built this incredible wait list. But at the end of the 6 month period, what I realized was that, yes, it was pitched to me as a lifting and sculpting technique, but what no one told me was that it would release emotional tension. And what's the number one thing women are struggling with today is emotional tension. Because I was releasing fascia and masseter tension, people were booking in droves because they'd never had a treatment where they could get a facial and have all of their tension released from their head in the one treatment. Usually they were going for a facial and having beautiful smelly products rubbed into their skin. Then they were going down the road to have their neck massage, or their osteo work on their neck, or their physio work on their jaw, or whatever it was. And they were spending all this money in different areas. So I realized I'd merged these two worlds, and suddenly my clients were saying, "Oh, I'm not booking massage anymore. I'm just having your facial because the result is so incredible. I'm looking amazing and I feel amazing." And that creation of that Zen was something that was so eye-opening to me. I was like, hang on a minute. But, in my head, I was like, but I'm just a beauty therapist, as all us beauty therapists say. Like, what? So what I was identifying was that not only was I fulfilling more and more needs of my clients, I was attracting a whole new type of client, which in this world where business is tough, to be able to attract a whole new type of client was unbelievable to me. I was attracting clients that were, no word of a lie, turning up to me saying, the first thing they would say to me was, "I don't like facials." And I was like, "What are you doing here? Like, I'm a facialist." And they'd say, "My friend had a facial from you. She said you don't give a facial. You give something totally different. And I want to know what this is." So they were coming, having their treatment, converting from never having facials to having regular facials. And then not only that, they were going from buying supermarket brand products to my skincare because they were noticing such a difference in their skin. So I was converting people that were not traditional facial chasers. They were people that would never consider having a facial, but they were coming for the therapeutic aspect. So my whole world turned upside down. And that was what led me to be able to indicate to my students, this treatment, when done well, can give you financial freedom. So I was then jumping from what this treatment can not only do for my clients, but for therapists out there that are told you need to buy expensive facial machines because they're the only things that'll give your clients the results that they want. Fractals and microdermabrasions and all these machines manufactured overseas, rebranded, repackaged, jigged a year later and resold under a new item number, and told, if you don't buy this machine, you're not going to get another $50,000 or $100,000 revenue into your business. And I'm saying, actually, no. If you give your client an incredible facial just using these two tools that you have on your body, you can create your own financial freedom. And then later, if you want to buy machines, you'll have the revenue to do so. Because what I was seeing in the industry is all these poor girls were going out and getting loans for $100,000 or $200,000 machines and then wondering why they couldn't pay them off. And I'm thinking, I never did that. I just bought a steamer and I had a little sonophoresis, the old school. I'm very old school in my style. And my setup costs were almost nothing. And off I went with my two little tools, and I'm still using those two little tools today, and it's been career changing. So that's what I mentor students to do. I make sure that they've got all of their skills first. Build your business using your hands.
Yes, I love that. And we've been speaking about this for the last 14 years in the industry, really. Skill first. You get a machine and then someone around the corner gets the same machine, then you're fighting a discount war. Your the way that you're presenting this, it's almost like I'm sitting, that's why I'm so quiet. I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, she's actually speaking my language, but she's with Bukal. I mean, this really is what we've been sharing through Brow Artists International, TRUEBROW for the last 14 years. Focus on your skill, invest in your skill, the skill that no one can take away from you.
Can't take it away from you.
So empowering.
But a machine can break down.
Well,
A machine can break down, or the competitors can get it, and then you're competing like for like, and no one has your hands.
But it's
No one has your hands.
And really in the world right now, and especially in the beauty industry, it's differentiate or die. At the end of the day, you're either going to be in the
100%.
sameness and you're just going to be stuck there and you're going to have discounting wars with your competitors. What I actually found is differentiating for me, I had no competitors. Like I literally
they fall away.
No competition. I would rather invest in myself, work on me.
Your own lane. Yeah.
Be a master, as you have on your beautiful website that I looked at just before. Be a master. Think like that. It's got something to do really with what our own belief in ourselves. So, for example, if I'm speaking to someone and they want to come and do TRUEBROW, I'm not really proving the TRUEBROW system to them because they can see that. They can see the work. They can see the before and afters. I'm not doing that. But I know that when I'm speaking to them, it's what's going on in their head. They're thinking, but can I do it? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to actually create these results? Am I going to actually do the whole full course? I'm going to pay, but am I going to do it? They have conversations in their heads that you can see talking to them and they're actually thinking, am I going to be able to do it? At the end of the day, it's the belief in yourself.
Well, the other incredible benefit of, correlation between with the jaw work is that there is a direct correlation between uterine or pelvic floor trauma and the masseter muscle. So, anyone that's had a baby, anyone that's had endometriosis, anyone that's had any type of issue in their uterine area or pelvic floor area, they will always have tension in their masseter muscle. So you can imagine that's a majority of the women on the planet when you go in and you're working that area. So the treatment is more powerful than people realize. It's just, as I said, it's completely been career changing for me and career defining for me. And I've fallen into it with such a love and a passion that it's just, but carried me through this incredible time.
I love that we're combining now, and you've done this for the industry, with facials, something that is just so much more about the wellness of the human. And, like a lot of my mentoring is based on core tension or hidden tension. So much of that is held in the jaw. We don't even realize that we're hanging on to it. It's deeply connected to our nervous system. There is so much about this that's beautiful. And I love that we're having this conversation and we can put out into the world something that is meaningful, something a little bit more, something deeper than just a surface treatment. And I really, really love that. And I think that women should deeply, if they love skin, if you're a big skin lover, it's really about incorporating something like this, because why would you not do it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's
a no-brainer. It's like, you're going to touch brows. Why don't you specialize? Do it properly. You've also got skincare products. Now, do you wholesale those to skin therapists?
Yeah, mostly to the students that come, because that's how they come across our products. We do wholesale it and people can stock it. But in my course, I train with a particular product called the Dream Revival Mask. I created a mask that is specific for massage, and it's a hybrid mask, so you can leave it on and it's nourishing, hydrating and brightening. So I sell it in clinic to my clients as a nighttime rejuvenating mask, but I also massage with it in my treatments, and I train with it. So most of my students come across that product first and foremost during the training, and then that leads to conversations about the product and what we can do with it. But yes, so that's definitely an avenue.
Now, let me just ask you a couple of things, and I'm just going to throw these in. We did speak about it the other day too. We spoke about entrepreneurship and motherhood and our special relationships and things like that. And I can really feel your beautiful passion in giving to others. How do you give to you? And I don't want you to tell me about work because you're not allowed. Because we know how you get your fulfillment from that. How else do you give to you?
Look, I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't give me a huge amount, I must admit. The way I give to myself is because, so I'm the main breadwinner in my family. My husband, Cameron, he works with me, for me, whatever the term is. He runs the back end of all of my businesses. He's incredible. And he does a majority of the parenting because I'm away about 25 weeks of the year. So unfortunately, I don't have the main point of contact with my two children. I've got a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I think what I've worked out is one of the main ways that I give to myself is creating family experiences that I get real quality time with my children and my family as a unit. We were just away last week together, and even if it's just what I call a staycation. So we live out of Sydney. I have a clinic that I'm in now in Sydney, but we actually live an hour and a half south of Sydney in the Southern Highlands. And so what I do with the family is that I'll organise mini staycations. So for example, last week we came up to Manly. Now we only live 2 hours away from Manly, but it's an opportunity for me to immerse myself in my motherhood role, which I don't get to do a lot of because of my job. And whilst I love being a business owner and an entrepreneur, and I love what I do. And one of the reasons I was apprehensive to have children initially was because I thought I would have to stop working altogether or have to juggle, a full-blown career and children. But because my husband now works alongside me full time, we're able to share the business, but also share the parenting. So my give back is actually enabling myself to be connected with my children at their young age, because they're only young for a short amount of time. And I'm very aware that I don't see them like maybe a traditional, not a traditional mother, but a mother that was there full time. So probably that's the biggest thing that I'm doing for myself at the moment, is making sure I'm connecting in with my motherhood role. And then after that, it probably should be a little bit more focused on me. And I go for the occasional massage and I go for the occasional meditation period, like go through the occasional meditation session for myself. But mostly right now, the focus is making sure that I'm connecting with the family unit and connecting with my motherhood role. And that's what's feeding me. Does that make sense?
Yes, lovely. I think that there's definitely a lot of goodness in giving your attention to that. I think that's it's very wise, because I do think that children do grow up very quickly. So there's a wisdom in that, and I love it. And I think that when we're nurturing and nourishing the things that are the most important to us in our world, and we could have our mission, we can have our mandates, that's fine. But when we're nurturing those things that are nurturing something truly deeper in us, then that's a very wise thing. So I really love hearing that. And I don't really think that self-care for me, I have a different version of what self-care is. I don't see it as having a massage or doing a meditation session. There's nothing wrong with those things. But I see that the care of a human being, especially an entrepreneurial visionary leader like you, it just has so many layers that are not behavioral. We tend to go to the behaviors, don't we? But it's not behavioral. It's the way that we think. It's the way that we use our emotional body. It's the way that we use where's our spirit? What are we doing? What are we here for? What's our real purpose? Deeper than all the things that we do on the surface that seem to be so important. And in some degree they are. But there's all these other layers. And I think it's because I'm so old, that's why I can speak about these.
No, and I appreciate you speaking about that too, because I must admit I get a little annoyed in the society that we're in at the moment, is that the first question I get asked, and I get asked all the time because I speak at a lot of events and people come to me and say, tell me your secrets, And they're like, what do you do for self-care? And it actually annoys me a little bit because my self-care, people want me to box up a picture of self-care and hand it to them. They want me to give them a recipe that, if I'm as busy as I am, but then I do this, then that must be the answer for self-care. And the fact of the matter is, my self-care isn't what you would suggest as self-care. And that's why I led with, I'm actually leaning into my motherhood role as much as I can, because A, I miss my children when I'm away from them. There's no way I'm going to go home and then be like, oh, I'm going to go into the traditional self-care role now and go and have a massage and go and have a pedicure and sit up in the chair and pretend I'm doing the routine self-care thing. I want to hang out with my children and ask them, what do you like today? What have you done today? What's been different? Who were you kind to today? And what friend made you laugh? That to me is feeding that need that I have to be a mother, because I'm not getting it full time. So then that's my self-care, and it's not going to be the same as everyone else's. So I do find it a little annoying because people are like, everyone wants to know what that cookie cutter answer is for self-care. And the term self-care is so trendy at the moment. The irony is I promote self-care because I sell self-care. I sell people facials and I promote people coming to me and lying down, and I will nurture them. But that doesn't mean that's what I'm going to go and have. Yes, of course, I love to have the occasional facial. I love to lie down. But right now, in this time of my life, as a woman that has many different hats, but also is a mother, my self-care is nurturing my children and making sure that when I'm with them, they remember that. And then when they're 10 and 15 and 20, they say, yes, mum was traveling a lot, but when she was with us, we had great adventures together and she was interested in us and she wanted to know, and she was there and she made our lunches when she was there, she made our lunches. That is my self-care right now.
That's really sweet. I love that. It's a very sweet answer. And I think you're right. I think that people do want to compartmentalize everything because it makes us as humans, it makes us feel safe.
People want a silver bullet answer too. People want
it's totally understandable.
It doesn't exist. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally
it's understandable.
Because really, at the end of the day, we have absolutely very little control except how we are going to show up for everything that in our lives. That's it. That's what life gives us, the opportunity to turn up and go, how am I going to be with this today? Because that's life. Anyone that thinks that they control their life and they've got plans, well, good luck. Good luck with that and see how you go. And that's fantastic. But there's an inner resilience. When you're actually, what I'm hearing you say is this, and I want to just backtrack with this and before we wrap up. What I'm hearing you say is that you are not just following what you're hearing and being told about what it should look like, whatever this self-care, that statement.
It doesn't work for me.
It's what you're doing, and this is what builds resilience. This is the key thing, everybody. If you're listening to this, just even if it's just this piece, because you'll have all the links and everything to find Isabella. The key thing is that when you're following what you know inside, that may be the opposite to what everyone is telling you, but you follow that, you're building a resilience. And what I'm hearing you say is right now you're thinking, well, I'm away from the kids a lot, but I really want to nurture that because that actually nurtures me. So I'm going to do that. And it's the following of that knowledge in you, that wisdom that comes up that you're following, that builds inner resilience in us. I'm really excited that we've had our chat today. Thank you so much, Isabella.
Thanks for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Oh, it's just a joy. Thanks, Isabella. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. You're welcome. And just make sure that you look at the links. We'll put links in so that everyone will know how to connect with you. Bye for now.
Thank you.